Hey everyone, Rick here, and we'll be doing a little unboxing today. Seems to be the pattern right now. This, though, is really, truly exciting. Of course, almost any unboxing is exciting, but this one is especially so because I wasn't even sure if I would ever even see this in my hot little hands. But anyway, this is the Lone Wolf board game, The Battle for Magnamund. This was designed and illustrated by the legend himself, Gary Chalk. You may have heard of him. He was the illustrator for many things, specifically, though, the Lone Wolf series of Choose Your Own Adventure game books. Also, which I didn't even realize or pay attention to until this Kickstarter, he was also the illustrator of Redwall. Oh my gosh! One of the most inspirational novels that got me into fantasy theme, all that. He illustrated it. That gorgeous cover art. But anyway, so they held a Kickstarter, they being Mega Red Entertainment and GreyWOOD Publishing, in addition to Gary Chalk, for this board game based in the Lone Wolf universe. And the whole campaign was really exciting. Even for a while post-campaign, things were looking good. Then all of a sudden, things really took a turn for the worse. And you can check out the Kickstarter page for the Lone Wolf board game. Read through the comments. I don't know if the updates are for backers only, maybe, but you can definitely tell in the comments what was going on. I don't want to go into that too much here, but suffice to say, I wasn't even sure if I'd end up getting this game. But anyway, I did end up receiving the game. There is a nice little picture of Gary himself. The back of the box just really kind of talks about it, but there is this nice little illustration to show you exactly what the game will look like once it's all laid out. Now, one of the big things that I get from that when I saw that in the Kickstarter was Cry Havoc, because it's a grid-based map with all your individual units. Now, of course, in Cry Havoc, they were just chits, but these are 3D standees. Of course, miniatures is what it's all about these days, but these are some really beautifully illustrated standees, and I am really happy with how that looks. So anyway, let's crack this open and find out if there is even a game in here. Though I have to tell you, this box is heavy. It is just packed to the brim, or so it feels like. So the shrink wrap is off, and what do we have right under the cover? Oh, I love that box smell. Okay, the first thing we have here is a book of encounters. So this is going to be different scenarios, different ways you can set up the multiple different map tiles that come in here. Obviously, it kind of looks like you start off very simply, maybe with just a tile or two and a few opponents, and work your way to the end. So, yes, that is the full-blown map right there. That is just going to be awesome. So you can kind of think of it as a miniatures tactical war game, just with standees instead of miniatures. Then we have the actual rule book. Now, it's not a big book in terms of like length and width, but it is actually fairly substantial. This is, what is about almost 50 pages in here, but there are some record sheets on the back page that you can, I'm sure, photocopy. The different sections. Actually, a lot of these are credits. So you can chalk about 10 pages or so up to the credits themselves. Ha ha ha. And what do we have right there? Yes, official backer credits. That's always a really neat perk when they do that. So anyway, table of contents there on the last page of the credits. I'm not sure how well you can see that or not. Then you have the introduction, and you have some more of that beautiful standee artwork. That's actually the art that's on the standees. So that is going to look great. Here's a key. See, this just reminds me of Cry Havoc so much. I think there's a reason for that. And more rules. So look at all these gorgeous illustrations, examples. That is exactly what I like to see in a rule book. Combat rules. Here's a nice illustration. Remember, Gary Chalk did all of this. If I can get the glare out of there. Just love his art. Morale, movement, special skills, magic. And then it comes to the end. So, very nice. Now, man, what is all this? Okay, first, looks like we have some reference sheets based on your race. So we have the, what is that, Gorgaz race. And that's all different terrain modifiers across the top, it looks like. Oh, I just love the looks of this, folks. Here's just the typical human race. And it has some actual kingdom names in there in case you're familiar with the Lone Wolf lore. And then here are the Gaex, which I guess kind of look like dwarves. No, those are not dwarves. Those almost look like a goblin-y sort of thing. Then we come to miniatures. Not miniatures, but the standees. Just take a look at that. Now, if you had to play a game with standees, wouldn't you want them to look like this? Not only that, but they are double-sided. So yes, it'll look that gorgeous on both the front and the back. I have to say, I am really liking the looks of this because it means I don't have to paint a thing. So there were some humans, obviously. Here's some of those goblins. Look how tiny the little goblin standees are. And some goblin wolf riders. And some more maybe different factions of the humans. These look like some hero figures, like wizards and things. So it is fully fantasy. So you got your magic and your different monster races. And a deck of cards. So let's find out what we have with the cards. Now I just love this. This has a little bit of everything. Tactical, standee movement across the board. You have your cards here, your different terrain modifiers on your reference sheets. These are magic cards, it looks like. I'll split these up. So it looks like these are magic cards. Loving the art on these. And it looks like there's a lot of different effects there. That's what the back of those look like. It's just a red back. Then we have, those are spell cards. These are magician cards. So these are cards depicting excuse me, each of the different magicians. Oh man, I'm just loving the looks of this the more and more we go through this. Here are the hero cards. Beautiful. Okay, so in addition to the cards, dice. And not just a couple of D6s, there are some D10s in here too. And different colors. I assume probably a color per side. So each one side will be red, one side will be white. Looks like that's probably how it'll split up. Oh my gosh, I told you, this felt like it was packed to the brim. Here's a big baggie with all the black plastic standee clips. And then this is all map tiles. Oh yes. And these fold out. So what is this? It looks like a waterway. Can you imagine the table coverage you'll get with this? And honestly, if you laid out a full table of this, you could play any of your war games on it, whether they need a grid or not. Are these about 1-inch squares, you think? So there's a bridge going over a waterway. Gary Chalk did all the board art also. Here's just some kind of a grassy plains. Wonder if those rocks or things will affect movement. Here's one, it looks like that is all grass. Nice big open space. Here we have some trees. So it looks like you got all your basic terrain features accounted for here. Looks like maybe a hill, so some elevation is sticking its ugly head into things. Looks like a stone fenced in garden. And here we go, my favorite things, the little buildings. There's one. This is what really reminds me of Cry Havoc, are these buildings. Because that's just like a Cry Havoc map. I almost want to go grab one just to show you that I'm not insane. But I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with the old Cry Havoc series of games. And my love for that is what initially piqued my interest in this, because honestly I hadn't heard of the Lone Wolf board game or books. Okay, so that was everything in the board game. Now, my pledge on this Kickstarter was 1 copy of the board game and for Gary Chalk to paint a miniature himself for me. And so they came out with this 3D sculpt of the Lone Wolf character, and they said it was in white metal, but I swear this is plastic. Maybe they updated that in one of the updates or something and I just missed it, because I swear this is a plastic or a resin, you know, just a lightweight, not a metal material. I can't imagine this is metal. It's the sword kind of bends a bit and it's not very heavy at all. But yeah, so my pledge, it was fairly expensive, but gosh, just look at that. So yes, I was absolutely thrilled with the idea of Gary Chalk, one of my favorite illustrators, actually painting a miniature for me. Now, as I mentioned, things were looking ugly for the game. Really, they asked us, and I should say it was GreyWOOD Publishing, not the rest of them, but GreyWOOD Publishing were the ones who were actually getting the game manufactured, taking the Kickstarter funds and dispersing where they needed to go. Rumors were flying left and right. The different creators were fighting back and forth. Gary was not involved. He just designed the game, illustrated the game. That was all. He wasn't on the business end, so he has no fault whatsoever. So poor Gary. Along with the miniature, he sent me this letter. And you can pause it now if you want to read the whole thing. Just showing his signature at the bottom there. And so he was very upset with how the Kickstarter for his gorgeous game went himself. Sounds like he didn't even get any of the money that I pledged for him to do this figure. Only 2 people pledged at the level to get this. I don't know if the other person ever ended up getting theirs, because I had to jump through hoops and hoops to actually get this. And so when Gary sent this to me, it sounds like at his own expense. with that letter. I just am going to treasure that for the rest of my life, for sure. And then, GreyWOOD Publishing, just today, I received the actual board game after hounding them through a couple of emails to try to get that, because I was afraid I wouldn't end up ever getting it. They wanted us to pay more for shipping, and I really didn't want to do that. But I did, in addition to my pledge, add on a couple of extras. First was an extra pack of figures. So basically that doubles, and I don't know, how many sheets were there in the original? Yes, looks like it's going to be double. So basically a duplicate set of the standees. And that's army building. You can do whatever you want. So that's a whole another pack of figures to really create some big battles. Now that was okay, and it also came with an extra pack of those black stands, of course. But then I also had pledged for a map extension pack. That was something else that was really up in the air. They weren't sure if they were going to be able to do that. Well, thank goodness. I don't know how they managed to squeeze this one out, but in my package that I received, there were these 4 extra map tiles. Of course, these are just like the other ones that fold. So 4 more maps, so that's great. So I did end up getting everything I pledged for. One final thing was the Autumn Snow, the Pit of Darkness. So that is a choose-your-own-adventure book set in that same universe, illustrated again by Gary Chalk. Beautiful. So in the end, I did end up getting the game. The book came right away. They had no problems with the book. That's because Megara Entertainment was behind the book, and they were good as well. It was really all just the GreyWOOD Publishing, wherever their name is. I'm surprised they don't even have their name on the box anywhere. Maybe they do somewhere. I don't know. But anyway, so yes, the game, the book, the extra bits, and of course the miniature is everything. Part of that Lone Wolf Kickstarter. I can finally put that little check mark next to that I've gotten everything. I honestly almost wrote off ever getting the actual game. Things were looking that bad. So this was just amazing to actually say that I finally got everything. Anyway, that's enough of me going on and on. I hope that you took a look at this and you thought it looked really interesting. I know standees are not all the rage, but just the art on these is pretty darn fantastic. Map boards, the cards, dice. It's like everything I want in a board game. All set in a fantasy universe, illustrated by Gary Chalk. Just perfect. So, if you're interested, you can definitely check it out. It is at that website right there. It is created by GreyWOOD Publishing. Is it GreyWOOD or Grey Wolf? I can't remember. Go to the website and you'll find out. I have to say, purchase the game at your own peril. Hopefully you can find it maybe in a game store or online somewhere else. So you don't have to run the risk of going through GreyWOOD. Or Grey Wolf. I think it's Grey Wolf. Anyway, it's late here, so I am just rambling. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, much appreciated. And until next time.